So I think there's a difference between I love you and I trust you. Right?
100%.
Big difference.
Yes.
And in this conversation in the living room, we want to help you rebuild trust, establish trust, have good trust so that your love levels and your trust levels
Can match.
are at the same level.
Yeah, it's
right?
good.
Welcome back to the living room.
Hi guys, welcome back.
Where we have honest, real conversations for whatever space of life you might be living in. And our hope is that you'll go further faster. So recently we did a Q&A on our IG stories. And we said, hey, we're going to record an episode. What do you guys want to hear us talk about? What questions you have? And so there's a list of questions, but the question I wanted to tackle today was the one that we got several, which was, how do you build trust, or how do you rebuild trust after trust has been broken? On a level from 1 to 10, how important is trust in any relationship?
I think trust is an 11.
Wow.
For me.
Yeah,
for
it's off
sure.
the charts. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I've always thought this, and I teach people this, that if there's no trust or honor, there is no relationship.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, if honor, trust, and respect are gone, there's no relationship, because you can't have intimacy, right? You can't have intimacy, you can't have friendship, you can't have fun and joy if there's no trust. If you're always worried about the other person. So let's start here. What does mistrust look like?
I guess for me, mistrust starts in the little things. Like if you tell me I'm going to be home at 5 and you're home at 6 and you didn't let me know.
I didn't update you.
Yeah, that for me is like, okay. It starts in the small. For me, it's never in the big, it's in the small. And I think that can vary from person to person. Somebody might not even care if you're an hour late without calling. But for me personally, it's in the little things.
That's a big deal. I think that's a big statement. Trust is found and it's built and it's sustained in the little things. Yeah, that's a big statement, man. Yeah, I can trust you to be faithful in the big things because you've been faithful in the little things. I can trust you to be faithful as my wife because you've been faithful with your time. You've been faithful with what you've told me the time is going to be. When we first got married, that was a big deal for us. Yeah. And it was a big tension for us, not just a big deal, it was a big tension for us because I was not trustworthy in the little things and
I think it didn't matter to you as much.
Yeah, it wasn't a big deal, right? It was like, I'll be home at 5, and then it's like 9 o'clock, and I'm still out shooting and playing. I was when we were, excuse me, when we were younger, I was like big into like pickup basketball. Yeah. And I was at the gym for 4 hours, and and I just didn't want to stop playing. It was immaturity.
And again, it's not even that you had to stop playing. All you had to do was tell me, hey, I'm not going to be home till this time. Okay, cool. It was a simple phone call. That way I thought like, oh, okay, I can trust his word. When I can trust your word, I can trust your character. And that to me is everything, because there's a lot of girls out there who, you want the gold, you want the carrots, you want the big ring, you want it all. But to me, I'm like, I'd rather have character than the carrots.
Yeah, that's a good word.
Yeah, because once I can establish, okay, this man has good character, I can trust you fully, and then I could go about my business.
Man, the scripture says it this way, that a good name and a good reputation is better than jewels and sapphires and rubies and diamonds.
I knew it was in the Bible somewhere.
It's in the Bible. I'll find a way. I'll find a way to connect it. No, for real. And more importantly, let integrity and honesty protect you. It protects things, right? So think of honesty and integrity being like an insulation. It's what keeps you warm when it's cold. It's what keeps you fresh when it's hot. And man, at the end of the day, if we don't have that safety with each other, that security with each other, it's hard to live.
Yeah, and to me, that's like a foundation of intimacy. Yeah. And I cannot be intimate with you if I can't even have intimacy in trusting you.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
With the littles.
Yeah, so trust is found in the small things. In my yes is yes, my no is no. I'm updating you when things change.
Yeah, and I'm not crazy. I don't need an every minute update, Yeah. I just need, hey, if the plans change, I want to know.
But, can we talk about that for a second? Because I think within a reason, someone would say, I'm not crazy. I don't want an update every minute. But, I've been part of conversations with a couple who had broken trust. Okay. And they were in the process of rebuilding trust. Okay. And think of rebuilding trust in the same way that you would be rebuilding your credit, right? The reason you have a low credit score is because you didn't say what you were going to do. You didn't do what you were going to say in the time that it was expected to be done, right? Hello, that's literally what we're talking about here in building trust. So when you're building trust, it's like building credit. You have to have this consistent history, or you have this history of consistency, right?
Well, that's the thing. It's time.
Right. And so my point with that is that there have been times where trust was broken and intimacy was lost. And one of the people in the relationship, so let's just use a marriage relationship for this example. One of the people in the relationship would say, yo, Cruz, I'll do anything to get her back. I'll do anything, right? Think about that moment. And I'll say, okay, well, if you'll do anything, I'll look at so let's just say the guy messed up and it's on the wife, which let's talk about that a little bit, in the process of rebuilding trust. Usually the person whose trust was broken is the one that's going to be expected most of.
Correct.
When you're rebuilding trust.
Yes.
Right. And so I would look at the wife whose trust was broken. I would say, hey, he's willing to do whatever it takes. He's willing to pay the interest, right?
Yeah.
Like usually when you have bad credit, you have to pay higher interest. And I'll look at her and I'll say, you're the one that is setting the terms. What are the terms? And I've been part of restoration and trust rebuilding processes where the wife will say, Cruz, right now, I need a photo of where he is every 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I need him to send me a selfie and a video of his surroundings every 30 minutes. And so then the guy will be like, oh my God, that's crazy. And I'll be like, whoa, stop. Hey, big guy, I thought you would say you would do anything to get her back and to rebuild trust.
And especially if there was cheating involved.
Yeah. Well,
sometimes the measures to come back are a little bit higher.
More extreme.
Yeah, just like in a credit, maybe your interest rate is now a lot more than it would have been.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
You would have,
I don't disagree with that. I think cheating comes on so many different levels. To me, cheating is, another word for cheating is unfaithfulness. Yeah. And yes, I can be unfaithful in my physical relationship with you, but I can also be unfaithful in my word, in my honesty,
your emotions.
Yeah, man. At the end of the day, it really is just this thing. Like, man, are you honest or are you not?
Yes. It is that black and white.
Right. Do I have to be worried about you or do I not?
Yes.
And so I think building trust is slow and steady, right? One of our mentors said it this way: trust is gained in drops, but lost in buckets.
Yeah.
Right. And go ahead.
And I was going to say, and I think if you're frustrated and you're like, oh, I just, I want them to trust me again, you're going to have to reframe your expectations and know that you're in this for the long run.
Yeah.
Like if you love this person and you really say that you want your trust to be rebuilt, then take it step by step and just know it's going to take a minute.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a process that's slow and steady. One of the things that I'm grateful for you in the seasons where we've rebuilt trust is that you've exemplified the model of managing expectations, right? What I mean by that is I think it's easy for the person who is having their trust or having to offer trust again, right? And they're having to give trust to the person who broke the trust. Sometimes you can get emotional and frustrated and you forget that we're in a rebuilding process and you'll be like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this. Or, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can trust you. Well, I think one of the big things when you're rebuilding trust is you're not waiting for the feeling of, I trust you again. You make the choice to give trust, right? And I think that's important to note because sometimes in the process of rebuilding trust, it's easy to fall back into like a cycle of victimization, or maybe the job or the work you have to do is pull yourself out of victimization and say nothing is happening to me right now.
Right. I'm choosing to do this.
Exactly. I chose to do that. Right. And so you did that a lot. You would say, I'm choosing to believe you. I'm choosing to trust you. I'm choosing to say, okay, your yes is yes and your no is no.
Right.
That was a big deal.
Yeah. And I wasn't afraid to call you out when you weren't meeting the expectation, because there has to be an expectation. You're just not going to cross your fingers and hope that they do what they say they're going to do. No, there should be a measurable form of expectation that you're both tracking. So you both understand, okay, these are the expectations, this is the requirements, and this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And so then I would have to be like, okay, I'm not going to be over emotional on if he misses a mark. When he misses a mark, I'm going to be like, hey, it's 5 o'clock. You said you were going to be home at 4:30. Where are you?
Yeah.
Okay, then I would allow you to give me the update. Okay, hey, next time I appreciate you being on time. So again, you both have to be in this place of like not over emotional, but like realistic expectations with your hearts managed on how you're going to treat one another in this process.
Yeah, and I think in that, it really is as simple as choosing to make the choice in the moments where trust is built and trust is given and trust is appreciated. So as you were saying that, I remember there were moments where I had to learn this. So I would get in trouble, not because I didn't care or because I didn't want to call. Here's what would happen. I just remember vividly, there were times where like the team that I was playing with, because basketball would get me in trouble a lot when we were early in our marriage. And we would go on a streak and we would be winning, right? And I wouldn't stop playing because it's like, man, we're like in this moment. And I look up, it's like 45 minutes later and I'm like, an hour 10 past what time I told you I was going to be home. I'm like, oh man. And then in my head, I'm like, well, I'm already late, so I'm going to be in trouble, whatever. I'll just deal with it when I get home. But as I matured and as I started making the decisions to build trust, I remember I would see the clock and I'd be like, yo, y'all, hold on, time out. I need to stop. I need to call my wife and let her know what's going on. Right. And it just became just a paradigm shift for me where in rebuilding our trust, I think there's also a repositioning of priorities, right? My priority is you, right? As I'm building trust.
That's what I was going to say. And when you're immature, then your wife and your family are not a priority.
Sure.
I mean, it's just plain and simple.
Sure.
Like, what are your priorities? And if you say I'm your priority, then I should get a phone call or I should get an update. Like, it's not that hard.
Yeah. I don't know why I made it so complicated.
Yeah.
I made it so hard. And
it could be deeper things that maybe you're like, hey, before when I was younger, if I did this, I still got in trouble. So I just didn't even want to hear it. Like, I don't know. I feel like there's a deeper issue, but we can talk about that another time.
Maybe. I just don't think I'm that deep of an individual. I honestly think it was just like,
and you are that deep as an individual.
Okay.
And more complicated than you think.
Okay. I'll trust you on that. But as I think about it, it really was just kind of like, I just wasn't thinking about it,
Right.
I was just blowing it off. I was just blowing it off. It really was a lot of immaturity, and so I think trust really does come into really intentional play and positioning as you mature.
And I think like as a wife, I want to have a man that I can trust, I can lean on, and I could say, nah, if I call my husband, if my husband said this, it's going to get done. And that brings a sense of security to me as a woman. And as a woman, like security is a big deal.
Absolutely.
And so thank you for giving me a place to where I can feel like, no, if my man said it, it's going to happen.
Man, I appreciate that. Thank you for the opportunity to build that. It took me a little bit of time, but thank you for believing in me. Thank you for giving me the margin and the opportunity to build trust and to build my word and to build my faithfulness with you. It means a lot to me now. I remember it's meant to me a lot to me for a long time, but I remember when you would challenge me when the girls were born, and it was like, look, dude, it's not just me anymore. These little girls are watching you as well. They're listening to your word. They're listening to what you're saying. You better come through, man. Like you better deliver. Your yes better be yes. Your no better be no. And you better walk the talk, bro, while standing on your word. And that was a big deal for me, right? And so I think that a lot of what we've built as a family has been built foundationally on the fundamental of trust, right? And so our honor, our collaboration, our partnership comes from that place. And, I've always thought that trust was like a more complicated thing, but it's not.
No, it's just being consistent in the little.
Yeah, it's just, and yes, being consistent in the little and being considerate of the ones that matter, right? And being considerate of your own integrity, right? If you said you're going to do it. If something changes, update us. If you're late, communicate.
That's it.
Right. I remember you telling me that, and I use that so often now in leadership, right? But you were like, Cruz, bro, if you're going to be late, just communicate.
It's not that hard.
It's not that hard, right? And I think is as you build trust or as you're rebuilding trust, it really is seen in all these small places. You know, I don't want to overburden the issue, right? But I think the thought of rebuilding trust and offering trust again it's simple, but it can be difficult when you've been hurt, when you've been wounded, when
Can
you've
be
been
very
bruised.
difficult because you're putting yourself out there again, both of you,
Yeah,
to be hurt again.
yeah,
And the hope is that they come through.
yeah.
And that's always a gamble.
It is, but when they come through, man, what a win!
What a win.
Right? What a win! You know, I want to speak to we spoke a little bit to the person whose trust was broken, and they're having to offer trust, right? And so we told that person, hey, remember, don't get emotional. You're making an intentional decision. It's a positioning of your will, but then at the same time, the person who has to rebuild their trust, right? The person who blew it, who messed up. I think that sometimes you have to be careful to not over incentivize what you're doing.
Okay.
Right. What I mean by that is, I remember when I would actually call, right? I was so proud of myself because it was a big deal for me, right? It was like a paradigm shift for me. And I would call and I'd be like, I called, and you weren't like, yeah, you're like,
Thanks.
okay. Right. And I think what happens is, I was really looking for the incentive of the applause and the celebration. And it's like, no, man, like you're supposed to do this. Right. And so I think,
That's
one of the things in terms of, if you're the person who is reestablishing your integrity and reestablishing your position of trust with other people, don't incentivize the relationship. Don't incentivize getting your wife back or your husband back. Make the incentive the fact that you're becoming a trustworthy person.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. The win is that you're becoming the person that you should be.
That's good. And I think your internal talk is very key as well. It's just reminding yourself, like, I want to be a trustworthy person. I want to do this for myself. And that internal talk, when you don't get the praise, you're still okay because it's internal.
Yes.
And it's changing who
That's
you
brilliant.
are.
That's brilliant. This is just what I do. Even when you don't get the praise, still be the person.
Yeah.
Right. Like, this is just what I do. Yeah. I connected to this now. Like, you trust me to pay the bills.
Yes.
Right. You can totally trust me to make sure our bills are paid and we're on time and all that. And you don't walk around like, oh my God, Hercules, you paid the bills. It's like, I'm just supposed to do that. The lights are supposed to be on, man. The water's supposed to be running. Like,
Thank you.
It's supposed to happen. And that's just what we do. Right. And so I think with our integrity, with our faithfulness, with our honesty, with our good character, it's just who you are and it's just what you do, man. They don't make trophies for that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the trophy is the lights are on, the bills are paid, your family's happy, you're in a good place.
Absolutely. Yeah. So thank you for trusting me.
Yeah.
I'm really grateful.
Thank you for trusting me.
And I really do trust you. Hopefully that helps. We just want to have a quick little conversation about it, help you build trust, reestablish trust, work through some basic fundamentals of trust. I think that was a good talk.
Good talk.
All right, fam. Hey, we love y'all. Thanks for jumping in the living room with us. We'll see you soon. Peace.